Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montes and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montes. So, if you are aware, if you follow me on social media, if you follow any of my family members, you are aware that yesterday was my birthday and I turned 14 years old. So, in honor of my birthday, to do something movie related, I thought I'd do my favorite movie from every year I've been alive. Now, I've seen this trend going around, and it seems very cool to me because there's some movies that I haven't really talked about on this channel, and I would like to talk about them in this video. And if you're wondering why I'm not doing really a tribute, that's because, well, I did it for my sister, and I will be doing it for my parents and stuff when their birthdays come up. But I'm not doing it for for me because they don't really care about movies as much as I do, and plus this is my channel, so whatever I want to do, I want to do. So that's just my thing. But with that said, let's get started. Now, there wasn't really an obvious pick or a film that I wanted to choose from this year. So yeah, my birth year was pretty boring for movies, but Ratatouille was an exception for Pixar, and as well as 2007, and I think it was an absolute blast. Like, you just have this idea about a rat wanting to cook by pulling a man's hair, by hiding under his chef hat, and it works so well. Not only is the animation good, but also the characters, the arcs that they go through, and really, I never thought a film about food could be so meaningful. And like the characters are also fun. There's a lot of funny moments. It's weird, it's funny, it's memorable. The animation's great, the music's great, and the arcs of food and the characters are absolutely fantastic. So that's why it's my favorite picks. It's one of my favorite Pixar films, and it's one of the best 2007 films. So I know Kung Fu Panda is a weird pick for this year, but I have to say something. So Sean Chandler posted like a ranking of the Kung Fu Panda films, and when he was talking about how good it was and what was so great about the film, it kind of made me like the film more. And I mean, I knew that the character arcs were there and the music it was there, but I never really realized it until I started to love films. And for me, the way they did this movie, and when I rewatched it like a couple weeks ago, and I fell in love with it again. Like, it was just a film that was so good. I understand the premise about a panda doing kung fu is very weird, but they handled it very well. You had great characters, you had arcs for the characters, you had amazing action. The animation is really beautiful, especially when it has animation cuts, but then like 2D animation, like they did new Disney animated films. So, and also our villain, Tai Lung, is a really good villain, especially how they made him like an evil cat. I really like that. And the character of Po is absolutely fantastic. He's absolutely funny, played by Jack Black. All the cast is great. Just, yes, this is a great film. One of the best films of all time. And just to let you know, I do have a DreamWorks series leading up to Spirit Untamed. So you can kind of tell that this is actually one of my favorite DreamWorks movies. I'm not saying that at all, but you can guess it is. Before we get into 2009, I do have two honorable mentions. The first one is Iron Man, and I just think this is just one of the best MCU films. And I absolutely love Iron Man. It's just the humor is great. Everything works because they do it at the right time. It does it right at the right timing. I love it. And then of course my favorite Anna Boden film, Sugar. I watched this movie in August of 2020 and I absolutely loved it. However, in November, on Thanksgiving break, I did post a ranking of that, but I had to delete it because I didn't. There was nothing wrong with it. I just didn't. I wasn't ready to rank them yet. So, but the ranking will come in the future, not like near future, but the future. But now let's get into 2009. So for me, Orphan was nothing I've never heard of. Before I saw it, I never heard anything about it. Like, I never even knew the movie was made. Like, I never even knew that the movie existed. But when I watched it, I absolutely fell in love with it because it took this premise about a family adopting a little girl, and she starts to do some very bad things, and she starts to get sus. Yes, I know I'm using the TikTok term. But the way they did it, like the characters are very good, like they're very interesting. But like you have the kids, like you have the other kids, not like the characters are all good, and it does do some dark stuff, and like of her history, it's very weird. I know it may not be one of the best films of all time. For me, this is what I actually personally enjoy, because for me, I love thrillers. I love the movies where you're getting on the edge of your seat, and they do very plot twists, and those are my types of films where it's a shocking plot twist that just blows your mind, and then everything is all freaked up. So that's why Orphan is on my favorite movie of 2009. But I do have an honorable mention, and that is The Princess and the Frog. I know a lot of people hate this movie. You can say that. I know it may be weird at times, especially with them being frogs, and you see an old lady kiss a snake and spit is coming out. But to be honest, the way they told the story with Tiana wanting to get a restaurant for her own, that story is pretty good. I really like that. And as we explore her story, it becomes a little bit more interesting, and that's why it's one of my favorite films. Plus the animation is great, so that's why. And one more thing, as I show I'm not going to be showing honorable mentions on the stream because there's no point of that. I only show the main movies, so that's what I'm doing. So now let's get on to 2010. Toy Story 3 is a fantastic Pixar film. I absolutely love Toy Story 3. From the opening scene to the ending credits, it isn't just an absolute blast. Right off the bat, it closes out the Andy trilogy so well that it just does a great job for everything that you expect from a film. If you really think about it, it's basically the two Toy Story films all in one. Because if the first Toy Story film was basically about the characters getting back to where they need to be, that's in here. And then the second film was about them being rescued. That's basically what this film is about. Woody goes to save his friends. All of that works. And really just the story here, absolutely fantastic. The characters are absolutely memorable. The animation is really good. Lotso is a really compelling villain. And you can actually hate him. I would say he's probably one of the best Pixar/Toy Story movie villains. And really just the ending scene where Andy plays with his toys last time with Bonnie, that's the payoff for the Toy Story franchise. That's the best moment of all the Toy Story films, I would say. Other than the opening sequence of Toy Story 2, but that's my opinion. So Toy Story 3 is my favorite film of 2010. But we're not done yet. We have one more to mention, and that is Tangled. This is just another classic Disney animated movie. I'm a huge fan of the revival era, and this film took the Rapunzel character and made her awesome. But not just that, they make the story awesome in a new way that I never thought they could do. The characters like Flynn Rider, Maximus, Pascal, they all work. And Mother Gothel is probably one of the best revival Disney villains of all time. So I love Tangled. Alright, so if you watched my ranking 2 months ago, well actually 1 month ago, where I ranked the films that I saw, all 12 movies I saw in November, this movie was actually my favorite film of that month because it was just so good. And I've been rewatching some of the X-Men. I've been watching some of the X-Men movies because I'm actually really liking the franchise. So when I watched this movie, I absolutely fell in love with it. First things first, the relationship between Charles, the younger versions of Charles Xavier, and Eric Lencher, I actually think they really work with Michael Fassbender and what's his name? I forgot the one that plays Charles Xavier, the younger one. Whatever. The other characters like like Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence. I think she plays a much better version of Mystique than the one in the first two X-Men movies. Beast. He does look a little bit weird in this movie. I can say that because he does. But really just the action sequences are all really good, especially with the third act. The third act has some great action, great emotion sequences, some great music as well. And I kind of like the origin of the X-Men. And Kevin Bacon, I actually think he plays a good role as Sebastian Shaw, so that's pretty good. So X-Men First Class is my favorite film of 2010. No, not 2011. Sorry, 2011. But before we get into 2012, I do have one honorable mention, and that's Kung Fu Panda 2. Now, I actually like this movie a lot more than the first one, and I kind of wish this was my favorite film of 2011. Even though it does feel relatable, and I love it more than the first one, I want to give some X-Men First Class some love. That's just it. Back when Ralph Breaks the Internet was happening, when it was getting announced, my sister was showing me a video Disney films or movies that are coming out in 2018. Ralph Breaks the Internet, of course, was one of them. She said that she was not the biggest fan of WreckIt Ralph, so I went to go see it in June of 2018, and I absolutely fell in love with it right off the bat. Of course, the video game characters are obviously amazing. But really the way that they did, first off, I want to talk about the video game effects. The way they did the video game, they make the cords actually traveling devices to the actual plug-in thing. And the plug-in thing is a little center where the kids go to, not the kids, the video game characters go to different games. And that's a clever way to tell an animated film about video games. That's a very good thing. I like to see. But beyond that, you just have the character of Ralph, where he doesn't want to be a bad guy anymore. He wants to be the good guy. And as we learn through his story in this movie, we learn more about his character, and I really like that. Beyond that, and we learn about that he doesn't need to be a hero to. He doesn't need to be a good guy to change. He can be a bad guy. He just doesn't have to be mean. When he's not the actual WreckIt Ralph, he can still be a nice guy, but he has to play by his rules. And that's a very interesting arc to me. But beyond that, you have amazing characters, amazing animation, some amazing music, just all around just a great film. One honorable mention I do have is The Avengers. I know a bunch of you absolutely love this movie. and some people actually choose this movie to be their number one. But for me, WreckIt Ralph just seems more perfect, and I don't know. The Avengers just doesn't seem like that film that is perfect to me. It's not perfect. It's definitely a flawed film, but it is still great. Alright, so I know a bunch of you absolutely hate Frozen. They think it's very annoying, and Let It Go is very corny now. But for me, every single time I watch Frozen, I just think it's just an absolute blast. First off, when I first watched it, I found it to be very clever, and I was like, how old was I? I think I was like 7 when Frozen came out, and I found it clever. Is it just me, or am I a really smart kid? But anyways, the characters are absolutely fantastic. The music is fantastic, not just the songs. The relationship between Elsa and Anna, I actually felt was really good. And Olaf, played by Josh Gad, is absolutely hilarious. I love Josh. I love Olaf. And the animation is really good too. So I would say this is one of my favorite Disney animated films. And unpopular opinion here, but I actually like this movie a lot more than WreckIt Ralph. I'm sorry. I know some people like WreckIt Ralph more, but I like Frozen a whole lot more. I don't have any honorable mentions because there's not really any other film that impacted me as much as this film, but that's just it. Alright, now Guardians of the Galaxy for me. When I first saw it, since I watched it for Captain Marvel, it was the first time I was watching it. And when I watched it, I did not like it the first time because I wanted to see some action sequences, like more awesome action sequences. When I saw Guardians 2, I didn't get that, and I did not get that with this film. But I wanted to see more awesome action, something I've never seen before. But when I rewatched it with my mom, my opinion for it changed. Like, I absolutely loved it, and it just became one of my favorite MCU films. The characters, I would say, is the best part of the film, because as we explore the characters, they're very interesting. I would say Star Wars is my favorite Guardians of the Galaxy because he has this big arc from having his mom die, and then he gets taken by aliens then he gets taken by Ravagers, and then you explore other characters like Drax, Rocket, Groot, Gamora. I would say Drax is another character that I absolutely love. This is the movie that I feel like he was the funniest, and even in Infinity War 2, which I thought he was funny too. But this is the movie that introduced all our favorite characters, and a lot of people said that this movie wouldn't work because it had a talking raccoon. Rocket Raccoon is probably one of the funniest characters of the MCU. So that's my opinions on Guardians of the Galaxy. One honorable mention I do have though is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I think this is just a great MCU thriller. They took a new take on the MCU and they made it work, and that's something I really like. Another one that I do have is Big Hero 6. So when I first saw this movie, I absolutely loved it, and I thought it was better than WreckIt Ralph and Frozen. But as time went on, I thought to myself, this isn't as perfect, but it is a great movie. Well, probably one of the best Disney animated films. It is up there with Mulan, because Mulan is actually a really good Disney movie. But yeah, that's what I think. Now let's get on to 2015. And for me, Inside Out was a very emotional Pixar film for me. I just love the way they did the animation. I just love the way they did all these emotions. Like, I loved how they focused on sadness and joy, because those are like the two main emotions that everybody feels. And the way we explore their characters, it does it in just a terrific way that it pulls all your heartstrings in one. Hang on, let me fix my camera. There we go. But the character of Joy, where she wants Riley to be happy, but she doesn't want that because if you're sad, she thinks if being sad is a bad thing, but she just didn't realize it until the end. The characters are absolutely fantastic. Bing Bong is a classic. It really handles like life really well. It's another one of those, as it is the first movie that introduces the life aspect. It's a very great concept of a film, and I absolutely love it. The characters, the animation, the music, the emotions, everything about this film is perfect. However, I don't like it as much as Toy Story 3 or Finding Nemo, because those are more classic films, but I still love this movie. I forget what I was gonna say. And I know I wasn't the biggest fan of Soul, but I still enjoyed it. But that's a little thought I had. So let's get on to number 2016. For me, Captain America Civil War was a great film. It took, like some other MCU films that are loved, it took me a while to kind of learn to love this movie. And obviously the reason why everybody loves this movie is they put the two main Avengers and they have them battle each other. Obviously everybody loves that. But for me, I loved it even more because the choices that Tony Stark and Iron Man made, the choices that Tony Stark and Steve Rogers made, their choices are wrong in certain ways, and their choices are right in certain ways. And I'd never seen that in a film before. And it's like you can connect with those films. Added to that, the introduction of Spider-Man and Black Panther are absolutely fantastic. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. And the airport sequence is absolutely fantastic, but just not the airport sequence itself, but there's some other action sequences that are absolutely fantastic in this film. So I love this movie. But also, here's another thing. So if you guys remember my little update video, the first one I did, I talked about how this film kind of inspired me to create a YouTube channel, because this is the film that got me kicked off with my love. It got my love for everything. It started my love for Marvel back. Like, I actually really liked Marvel when I saw the fight scenes on YouTube. And I used to have toys and I used to reenact with them, like the actual scene. So I didn't have all of them though. And then I just started to go into different Marvel movies, and then I started to get interested into movies, and then that's how this YouTube channel got created. And I wanted to talk about movies with you guys. So that's something very interesting. One thing that kind of wanted me to create a YouTube, now, I know this, I said this probably will have me create a YouTube, like a thing where I do movies, where I want to become a Marvel director. There's another film that does that, but Captain America Civil War is the one that got me interested into films and wanted to become a YouTube channel star, something like that. But yeah, now let's get on to 2017. Oh no, wait. Before we get into 2017, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. The first one is The Jungle Book. I was very surprised with this because I thought that they would just do everything the same thing, but they did it very well, and it made the story even better. Then we have The Secret Life of Pets. I know this is a very unpopular opinion here, but I love The Secret Life of Pets. I think it's one of the best movies of Illumination. Probably not as good as Toy Story, but the animation is great, the music's great, the characters are great, and I like it. I know it may relate to Toy Story a lot, but it's fine. Then we have Trolls. Pretty great DreamWorks movie. I love the idea and the characters, the idea of Bergens eating trolls. I know that's a little bit weird, but I like how he explored the theme about happiness. It's a really interesting thing to learn. And then we have Doctor Strange. This isn't one of my favorite films of all time, but this is just a film I was really surprised with. So that's just a little thought there. Now let's get on to 2017. Alright, now Wonder was a film that I was at school one day. I went to the library with my class because that was our specials day for the day. And she showed us this trailer about a new upcoming movie that was coming out. And it was Wonder. And when I saw the trailer, it was a film that I wanted to see so bad. It looked very interesting. And it went for what it was going for. It really did. It took a story about a boy that had like 27 something surgeries, and yeah, it like the emotions were very good because it's like he wants to fit in but he can't because of his face, and it's a really nice arc that they have, and the emotion, it's a very emotional film. It's just a great family movie. And another thing that I love about this film is that this movie kind of relates to me in ways, because I'm trying to make friends, but I'm not making friends. I'm not saying my way of him not making friends is the way he is going through, but at the same time it is, but it's not though. It's not. It's when we're making friends in that our different reasons of not making friends are different in different ways. That's just what I gotta say. But beyond that, you have it's funny, it's emotional. It has an amazing cast with Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts. The guy that plays Huxley from Elmo and Grouchland, but none of you knew that. In general, this is just a fantastic movie, and I absolutely love it. Alright, so I know I just did my 2017 review, but I do have 4 honorable mentions. The first one is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. This is just a very fun movie, and I was very surprised with it. I wasn't really expecting to watch it, but I did, and I loved it. Then we have A Dog's Purpose. This is just a great dog movie, and it handles the characters very well, even though the premise about a dog dying, but then coming back as an underdog, it does do something weird with that, but I really like this one. And then Coco, one of the best Pixar movies of the last years or so. One of the best ones. And then, of course, Thor Ragnarok, one of the best films of the Thor franchise, and one of the best MCU films of the MCU franchise. So you already know that Avengers Infinity War is probably my favorite animated movie. It's probably my favorite film of all time because this film does everything I love about Marvel. It absolutely won me over. Just the action sequences was something that I never thought the MCU could do. There were twists and turns that I really loved to see, and there were like thriller moments, and like the Russo brothers style that they used was it was still in this movie, even though it was an Avengers film, and they used it very well. And like the characters, there were some characters that I did think they did not work as much, but because there was so much going on, they still worked. They gave everybody a moment in the spotlight. But then the introduction of Thanos and like the Black Order and the Outriders, they were all great. Thanos, I would say, is the best villain of the MCU so far. And it just has really compelling arcs for all the characters, especially Tony Stark, Gamora, and the relationship between Scarlet Witch and Vision, pretty good. And then, of course, this movie has some of the best moments of the MCU, where you have Thor arriving in Wakanda and taking down most of Thanos' army, or where they're talking about Iron Man getting his nanotech armor, and he is just beating the crap out of Cull Obsidian, or when he is just blocking the thing with like ice particles. That stuff that stuff, I clapped in the theater when he was just freezing it, because like that was my dream to have like something icy in it. Like I never thought that would happen, but I love that. So I do have 2 honorable mentions for this year, and one honorable mention is of course Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Obviously one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, and probably my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. Animation great, characters great, villains are great, the tone is great, the action is great, the drama, the comedy, the emotion is all great, it's all there, it's all great. But another film I wanted to talk about was Incredibles 2. So I know this film, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but I did want to mention something. Obviously you already know my thoughts that it does everything better than the original, but one thing I did that I noticed about this film is that this is actually the film that kind of started my idea for wanting to make movies. And because technically the final battle that inspired me to do that, because I love the final battle to this movie because it has so much action, and like I was thinking, how can we make an Avengers sequel like that but with other final battles? Like I don't want to miss anything. And then that hit me. What if I can create a movie? What if I can create something that has that? And then boom, my idea for making movies had come to my mind. And for that reason, Incredibles 2 was a great film. And that's why it really inspired me. Now, 2019 was a very good year for movies, and this was actually the year that I actually started to watch a lot more movies than previous years. Well, in the first half of 2019. Not the other half, not so much. I did watch like Frozen 2 in theaters and stuff like that, but 2019 was a great year for movies, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Avengers Endgame, and I absolutely love Avengers Endgame. It's just one of the best movies of all time. It has some very classic moments with Captain America lifting Thor's hammer, with the Endgame final battle, with the final battle of everybody teaming up together to stop Thanos' army, with Captain America saying Avengers Assemble. The arcs are absolutely fantastic. The deaths are incredibly emotional. Well, for me, I didn't cry, but I'm still sad that Tony Stark's not in the MCU anymore. Well, he is. He's just in heaven. He's in the MCU heaven. And I absolutely love this movie. There's probably just 2 issues I did have with the film, is that the Thor and Hulk changes that they did with them. I don't think that they were the best, because they changed their characters. I like the way they did Hulk, because I wish that he didn't. I wish he knew how to smash, because he just hit a car. I mean, I understand it was. I liked how it was funny. It was funny, but I wish he could have done more action, like smashing action, and he could have got a rematch with Thanos. And then Thor was obviously trash because he didn't even do anything until the 3rd act. Now, when he was fighting Thanos, it did look cool, but that's just it. Overall, Avengers Endgame is a great movie, and I absolutely love it. My second favorite movie of all time. Alright, so if you saw my ranking last month of my favorite of all the movies I saw last year in 2020, you know that Elephant is my favorite film of that year. It took a story about elephants and it made it work, and it was beautifully well made. You cared about the animals, and it really just explored elephant life really well. So that's my favorite movie of 2020. And technically, I do the videos separately, but this time I'm actually going to be doing something a little different, because I don't have a favorite film of 2021 yet, because I've only seen 3 movies, and all 3 of those movies I don't think I have ever given. I have not given any A's to them. So my favorite film of 2021 right now is The White Tiger. That's just it. So that's my thing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.